years, and we've given everybody opportunity to speak both Monday and today. And I will weigh the conversation that we're having this morning prior to making a vote today if we do that.
As Deborah mentioned, though, it was a 3-2 vote, and you know what?
And Commissioner Bob Cole did end up being the swing vote.
Commissioner Bob Cole was the swing vote, and I'm just going to tell you, and when I see you in person, I'm going to tell you, because I'm not a guy to talk about you on TV and not tell you to your face. I'm very disappointed in you and Commissioner Cole. I think you did a very poor job in representing the county in an expenditure such as this. It blows my mind when you know right now that the upcoming budget season is going to be $7 million less money coming into the county, that you would not only be in favor of committing the county to $3.1 million, and we haven't got to the interest discussion yet.
Right. This property has to be financed somehow. And apparently there's a push in certain quarters to let Mr. Pullum, the property owner, finance it. Right. Which again would mean that he would, I assume, collect interest.
One of the things that was said that gave me a little hope that this might not happen is that whatever the yearly payment is, it has to be less than 40% of what they collect in electric franchise fees.
Well, this is an extra little percentage that's added on to your electric bill.
Right.
I can ask, we talk about funding. This funding comes from electric franchise fee. And Commissioner Cole mentioned reduction in values, but the reduction in values doesn't reduce impact of the franchise fee, does it? In fact, Gulf Power is going to have an increase next month. Won't the franchise fee will go up with it?
No, sir, it does not impact electric.
Right. And when Gulf Power's rates go up next month, will the impact fee is a percentage of the bill?
Electric franchise fee would go up to, yes, sir, it's 5% on the bill.
And you know, to be quite honest with you, I think it might be a sticking point.
Well, the concern is that the payments on this property would end up taking the entire economic development budget up, and there would then be no money left over for all of these other things that they've said they want to implement to bring quote-unquote good jobs to the county.
I think Commissioner Lyncher did a very good job of outlining that. If we spend everything that we have today and something falls in our lap tomorrow, what are we going to do if we have no operational funds left?
Well, let's also not forget that Team Santa Rosa has been trying to sell lots in the same area for Mr. Pullum for several years and have not had very much success. So this question's come up again and again. Why do we need to own it? If the property's not moving to begin with, why do we need to assume ownership and of course risk for that property?
Well, for goodness sakes, Deborah, the appraisal itself states that this should be considered a speculative purchase.
But let's get into this, because what we're told now by county officials and by Team Santa Rosa officials is that by owning the property, the county can discount it. In other words, they're going to buy it for
$32,000 an acre.
For well over what this appraisal says it's worth, and then they're going to turn around and give it to whomever, I guess, comes up with some kind of business plan.
And leave you, the taxpayer, with a note.
So we buy it, then we give it away for free, and in the past, these companies have said, well, we're going to create X number of jobs, and you know, I mean, I think that's up to the viewers to look around and I think people know how successful that program is.
Exactly. Now, we also had our friend Alan Isaacson. He stepped forward at the county commission meeting.
When I spoke with two of the commissioners this week, they were not even aware of the $900,000 appraisal that had been obtained in August. I actually made them aware. They then contacted the county attorney who got copies of that. So this process seems to be moving from a little bit of confusion to, in my opinion, needing to be really looked at a lot stronger on what actually should our money be spent, if at all we should spend it. There is enough confusion in the public's eye, I believe, and certainly in two of the commissioners' eyes, that that we need to look at this thing further, and I'm not sure today we can handle all the questions. And I do know of other developers and people that have called me this morning that have a concern that were not able to be here this morning.
And you know, one of the points that he made, and let's tie this back to the email of 2006. Ladies and gentlemen, the 3 commissioners that voted in favor of this purchase of Pullum Park were the same 3 commissioners that Cindy Anderson said in her email that they were good to go.
She said they were all good to go. 2 have since left office. And the 2 new commissioners voted against it.
The important thing in that is, and Mr. Isaacson's point was that there are 2 commissioners on this board that did not have the disclosure put in front of them in any of the documentation that there's an appraisal sitting out there for $900,000.
We've also now had reports that they may not have been aware that apparently the same bank who's holding the current mortgage, Mr. Pullum's mortgage for the property, is a member of Team Santa Rosa.
You know, from a disclosure standpoint,
which may or may not mean anything.
Well, it may
I don't
not,
think they'd want to know that.
It may not mean anything, but you know, one thing that Mr. Isaacson has put out there over and over and over is disclosure, disclosure, disclosure. And he has asked and asked and asked that the commissioners need to know what's going on before they take a vote. Look, it's a big county. It's virtually impossible for a commissioner to know about everything. Staff has an obligation to put all this in front of them, and I don't think they're doing that. We also...
Well, and again, the point that Commissioner Lynchard made was, we're told the reason we should own this instead of just market it is because there's all these great economic development programs we can offer these people. His point was the payments on this property will preclude the county from being able to do any of that other stuff because there's going to be no money left over.
Anything else. And ladies and gentlemen, you know, and part of what Commissioner Lynchard was talking about, we're going
aside from land giveaways.
Yeah, we're going to have to come up with about $2 million for the infrastructure for the new prison. There's potential talk of building a spec building at the aviation park, which could be easily $1 million.
That's another 269 acres that are currently sitting empty.
And so there's just you know, the dollar wise, you know, I just don't think this is a good time to do it. Of course, yours truly got up there.
Yes.
And, you know...
you were concerned about another possible conflict, and it was never really cleared up for us. We've been trying to find this out for several years, whether Mr. Pullum is a member and or official of Team Santa Rosa, which would present some kind of conflict of interest if that were true. And you've been asking that for a couple of years, and you asked again at this recent meeting.
Well, you know, it's funny. A lot of the... it generated a lot of emails. When all I did in 2006, I asked a very simple question. Is Mr. Bill Pullum a member of Team Santa Rosa?
You got called a name for that.
I got called a name for that. And there was a whole dais of blank stares that went at me in 2006.
You asked county commissioners in 06.
I asked county commissioners in 06. Nobody knew the answer to that. So this meeting, I said, well, you know, I asked this question in 2006 and nobody knew the answer to it. So I'm going to ask it again, see if there's anybody there. And actually, Mr. Pullum was sitting in the audience.
He happened to be in the audience on this particular occasion.
The owner of this property, Mr. Bill Pullum, is he a member of Team Santa Rosa?
Yes.
He is? Okay.
I haven't been to a meeting in probably 4 years.
But you're listed as a member?
I don't know whether I'm listed or not.
Okay. Well, you're on the webpage, so thank you for your time.